everyone. Thank you
Hello.
all so much for joining today. It is a beautiful day here in Zone 7. We are in Oklahoma, and Dale and I were just outside in the garden, and oh my gosh, it's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Uh, yeah, it's just perfect.
Yeah, we have spent like pretty much all weekend out in the garden, and it's been awesome. I think our garden is looking the best it's ever looked somehow. So I'm excited for this growing season. Here, I'll show you all some pictures. So this is what we've been doing. So, did they not upload? Okay.
By the way, we're Dale and Carrie. For those of you who
Hello.
are new here, welcome. I see a lot of familiar names and faces in the chat. Hi everybody. Hi CJ. Hi Donna. It's great to see you all here. Awesome. Looks like we have somebody from everywhere, it looks like. Oh, we're not the only ones who are sunny and gorgeous today. Ooh, that sounds really nice. Oh, cold and gray today though. Aw, I'm sorry.
I think we hit our picture limit or something because I uploaded
Oh,
pictures right before, and they're not showing. It doesn't let me upload any new ones. So, well,
well,
darn. Just
you
look at
can
our
take out
Instagram because
a
we're
couple of
posting
them.
all about it. What's that? I couldn't hear you.
I can take out a couple real quick if you want to.
I tried to see if it lets you. I tried to delete. So anyway, thanks for joining us. We are going to be talking all about growing food in April today. So, like I mentioned, we've been out in our garden all weekend getting stuff planted, and we're excited to talk about both what we're growing, but also what you can grow. So, we're going to cover kind of the gamut of what you can grow across the country, and that's one of the reasons why we built our app was to make it easy for you to know what you can grow based on where you are. So, we are Dell and Carrie Spoonmore, the creators of the Seed to Spoon app. If you don't already have it, you can download it from this QR code up in the very top left. We started growing food about 10 years ago, over 10 years ago now.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so we started back here in a standard backyard and wanted to grow food. And I am autistic and I get obsessed with stuff. And Carrie is really likes organization. So that's kind of where the idea came from. Of we got into gardening, and then Carrie really wanted a way to keep it all organized and stuff, and so we made an app for it. And yeah, so we still garden today. We still grow food for our family. I think this is probably one of the years I feel more energized to grow than I have in the past few years. I'm really excited about this year and growing, and um, I think a big reason for that is we've had an indoor garden over the winter. So a lot of the times in the spring, like I am burned out on gardening by April because I've spent so much time in January and February, like trying to keep tomatoes and peppers alive and all that type of stuff. And we started our indoor seed starting a little later this year. So kind of rolling into spring with with kind of fresh gardening energy, and it's
Well,
nice.
and I also did it in waves too. I didn't like before I would literally like start everything in a day. So I was like trying to carry like six different trays of seeds out. Like, oh man. Yeah, but now like I started everything like every couple weeks. So they're all at different stages. So I'm not hardening them all off at the same time. Like that was actually nice.
Yeah. So we're going to talk all about today about what you can grow in April. And April is really one of the prime times for planting. In a lot of places, you're on the edge of what you can grow, meaning that you can grow both cool season and warm season stuff. Where we are, we're pretty much at the end of the cool season planting window, at least. We're still growing plenty of cool season stuff, but we're pretty much at the end of our window for being able to plant more. Now we are going to try some lettuces, some heat tolerant lettuces and stuff, and we'll get into that as we get into specific plants. But a lot of what we're doing now is thinking about the stuff that's going to be growing over the summer. So really planting out our summer garden and thinking about all of that, and I think all the stuff that most people are used to growing anyway, the tomatoes and the peppers and the cucumbers and all that kind of stuff. So um, yeah, so let's jump in. And
Well, I gotta
before we,
mention the giveaway
yeah,
before we get too far into it, because we are doing a giveaway. Um, so we do this every week where we do a giveaway for a something fun and unique for I mean, always a 1 year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription. So let's see if I can pull this up. So, I mean, with the free version, you can do so many things, but with the yearly subscription, you can do even more, which is great. You can get unlimited plant and pest identification. You can get health checks. So you can like take a picture of your plant and send it up to Growbot and be like, what's wrong with my plant? And it'll help you give advice. It's amazing. You get free shipping on all your orders from Park Seed, and you get unlimited plants then and gardens that you can make in the visual garden layout. So that's super exciting. And then also, we're going to be giving away some Park Seed seeds. So last week we were doing, I met with John Peters. It was very interesting. He's a beekeeper, and we talked all about pollinator gardens and all of that. So it was very interesting. But we do a giveaway at after the end of the live stream too. So for those of you who are watching after the fact, still you are able to enter. And we have a winner from last week, real quick. So last week it was congratulations to Amber Ashman. All you need to do is email us at info@seedtospoon.net and I will get you hooked up. So last week was Xenia Seeds and the premium app subscription. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so you all make sure you're commenting because we'll be doing a giveaway at the end of this stream as well. So.
All right. So let's talk all about April. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's jump in. There's a lot of things we can grow. So let's start with what to plant. And this is one of the big reasons why we built the Seed to Spoon app, was to help you know what to plant and what you can plant where you are. So when you go into the app on the main screen, there's this Let's Grow section right here that has everything that is currently in your planting window. There's a lot of stuff right now. So let's talk about how we help you kind of filter down. So scroll up a little bit, and the trending plants, this will give you an idea of, go back for a second. Sorry. So trending plants, this will show you kind of what else other people are growing right now. So this is a good thing to go off of. Scroll down though. There's some other things we've built to show you, make it easier to kind of filter down and look at what you might want to grow right now. So this is a calendar view as well. The garden bed themes here. So this lets you see different ideas of different things that you'd want to grow. So if you tap on one of those, you can go in and see. But let's go to the growing guides list, and we can kind of just start from there and show them how they can filter down this. So if you go into here and go to filters from the top right, and then plant now. So this lets you filter down and see everything you can plant now. And then you can also filter by other stuff. So at the very top, we have health benefits. So if you want to filter for specific health benefits, you can tap on one there. It'll filter the plants down. Maybe like the harvest within 60 days is really nice, especially if you're a new gardener. It'll show you everything that you can harvest quickly. Yeah, so let's filter down from there. And you can see there's a ton of stuff that you could plant now and have to harvest in just a few months. So we're not going to cover everything in this list, but you see why we're going to talk pretty fast now, I think, and we're going to try and get through as many of these as we can. So let's go and jump into the list and kind of go through some of our favorites of what we're
So
planting.
I have these kind of split up a little bit because some people are still doing a lot of cool season. And honestly, like here in Zone 7, we're sneaking in a lot of these too. Like honestly, I just planted out a couple potatoes that I found that I hadn't planted out into some smart pots just this last weekend. So, I mean, just because it's like a little bit like later, you can still sneak so many of these in, even if you're in the warmer areas. But potatoes are definitely one of our favorite things to grow. I mean, they're super fun and very amazing because they like you plant a potato and you get so many potatoes. That's why we like doing them in smart pots. So that way we can just take the smart pot, dump it in like a wheelbarrow or something like that. And then the kids all dig through and it's an Easter egg hunt. It is so much fun. And it's probably the thing that the kids like to plant the most too. So that's why this weekend too, I was like, okay, we'll do a few more potatoes, let the kids plant some out because it's just so much fun. But definitely, if you haven't tried growing potatoes, give it a try. It'll be super fun.
Carrie, my restream is messing up and I got to refresh. I'll be right back.
Okay, you're good. You're good. Strawberries, of course, are one thing that I needed to make sure that I mentioned because any sort of perennial fruit or berries, anything like that, the spring and fall are a terrific time to plant them out and get them established in. So definitely give those a try. You came on for a second and left. But I'm honestly still planting them out myself. Again, like I said, I have a green stock tower that I mean it is somewhat shaded, so that way I feel like they'll be just fine. And hopefully they'll, if they don't give me a good harvest this year, they'll be way established for next time and ready to go. So I mean, that's the benefit of having strawberries because they'll be there next season for you. If you plant them a little bit late, you may not get fruit this season, but they'll do amazing next time. Yes. So this is a great question. Does the app have information on fruit trees and bushes? Yes, it actually does. Down in here, let's see here. Let me take off these filters real quick. We can pull up strawberries. And here's strawberries. So it'll go through and have like all the information here for you that you need to. But it does also have like apple trees and things like that too. So if you're wanting like other basic like fruiting trees and things like that, it does have that information in there too.
I see a bunch of questions on strawberries. Did you already answer any of these?
I did not. No, I was not even looking at.
So the first one, how do we keep up with our strawberries? So if you're asking about extra fruit, well, there is no extra fruit. We're fighting over to get. So they rarely even make it into the house, honestly, because we're just all out there picking them. Now, if you're asking about extra strawberry plants, because that is a real thing that like strawberry plants are going to produce runners that produce more strawberries and they quickly take over an area. So what we've done is we've had like a mother bed, if you will, that has a bunch of strawberries in it. And then as they produce runners, then we cut those and move them into what are those grow towers called? Green stock.
Green
The
stock
green stock
towers.
grow towers. And we've been growing strawberries inside of the inside of the green stalks as well. So that's typically what we're doing. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I was like, I know I have a video of that in here. Yeah, these things are amazing.
If any do make it into the house, then they normally turn into like strawberry jam. We've done that a lot with strawberries, or we just.
There was one year we actually were able to do that, and oh my gosh, it was the best. But yeah, we've also gifted a lot of plants with runners.
So Shelly planted some berry strawberries a few weeks ago, and there's already some berries growing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. That probably just means that strawberry is already a couple years old. If the strawberry plant is tiny, like hard to find, like some of the strawberries that we bought from the store, literally hard to find the strawberry inside of the clump of soil because it's so tiny. You're not sure which little twig looking thing is the strawberry. The ones that we sell though are not like that. You're going to get them and they're already a couple years old and they're decent sized already. And we were getting strawberries off of them really quick last year. So
yeah, so I love getting the bare root strawberries from Park because seriously, whenever we got them, it was very similar to this. I planted them out and I was so surprised within like 2 weeks they looked like regular transplants that I would have just bought at the store for like triple, quadruple the price probably. But yeah, it was amazing.
Another question on strawberries. So 5 weeks until their last frost date. When should they pull it back? Honestly, you're good to leave the mulch there for like the entire time for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to help. So strawberries, once they start forming fruit, if the fruit is sitting on the ground, something's going to start eating that real quick, and the soil is going to start making it get gross in a hurry, and you'll have like pill bugs and that kind of stuff all around it. Whereas if you have a layer of straw or mulch on top that it's sitting on, it's going to help protect it and help it stay good longer, I guess is what I'm going for here. It's also going to help. So mulch isn't just for temperature regulation when it's cold. It also helps whenever it's hot. So it's going to help the soil temperature stay consistent regardless of whether or not it's hot or cold or whatever. And it's also going to help with water retention. There's just a lot of reasons to just leave the mulch there. So I wouldn't pull the mulch back at all. I would just leave it there. Okay, I'm looking for any other questions on
Alyssa
strawberries.
was asking, should I be pruning the flowers off my strawberry plants to encourage more growth?
A couple ways I look at this. If it's so there's two types of strawberries. There's ever-bearing strawberries and then June-bearing strawberries. June-bearing strawberries are going to put out all their strawberries in June, around June, and then pretty much be done for the year. I'm going to be trying to get all the strawberries I can from those plants, and I'm not pulling any flowers. Now, the exception of this might be if the plant's only a year old and it's not really ready to start producing. I might do that, but probably not. Let's be honest. I'm trying to get as many strawberries as I can. If it's an ever-bearing strawberry, I'm going to think differently on those because those continue to produce fruit, not year-round, but a couple different rounds, like throughout the season, depending on the temperature. Those ones, I am going to think more about helping them get established better so that I can have a more consistent long-term harvest, like, that fall or whatever, I'll get another round off of them. So that's the way I would think about strawberries. But again, ever since we started getting our strawberries from Park, I'm not going to go back to anything else because I'm getting strawberries that are already 2 or 3 years old and already ready to go. And I don't have the patience to wait years for strawberries. I'm just not that patient of a person. So I like my food right now.
Harry said he bought some bare root strawberries last year and forgot about them in the fridge. Do you think they're still good? So
don't know.
I was not sure. I went to Growbot and asked myself because I was like, that's a good question. If it was seeds, I would have been like, oh yeah, absolutely. But Growbot says probably not, unfortunately. But I definitely would do what it said and always give it a try. I mean, that's exactly what I do whenever I find something. I'm like, I don't know if it'll work or not, but give it a try.
Okay, so let's move on to the next plant we're going to talk about. So, carrots. And the number one tip I will give you on carrots, we actually made a video on this a couple days ago. I don't think it's out yet, but it'll be coming out, is to use seed tape because carrots, the seeds are tiny. It's really easy to drop them. It's really easy to put more than one in a hole accidentally. And carrots do not do well if you don't thin them down. So unless you're going to be very disciplined and patient and out there checking on them and then thinning them down and doing all that type of stuff, and if it's just much easier to go with seed tape. And what seed tape is basically looks kind of like toilet paper with seeds embedded in it, is the best way to describe it. And you lay it out in a row in the garden, and the seeds are spaced how far apart they're supposed to be. And then the tape or paper, disintegrates pretty quickly, and then the seeds are off and going. And we use seed tape for carrots and our smaller seeds like this. Carrots especially, though.
Yeah.
We're pretty much only planting carrots without seed tape if there's a variety that we just really like that we don't have seed tape for. And
I was just about to say there is only one time that I will not use seed tape, and that's because I can't find my dragon carrots any other way except for in just regular seeds. But besides that, I am doing seed tape for everything. It makes it so much easier.
So a question from Todd on how we plant carrots. So here's how we go about planting carrots. We plant them on the surface and then put a very thin layer of soil on top of them. You don't want to plant them too deep. And then what we do is we will cover that area with either burlap or cardboard, something like that, and then water it in really well, and then leave that there until the carrots sprout. And then we'll take that off and let them grow naturally. But carrots can take a while to germinate. And the first few years, whenever we didn't do this, we had It's not great germination with carrots. So once we switched to this, that really helped. Um, I also recommend planting carrots around things that are going to produce a lot of shade in the summer. Carrots will appreciate having some shade when it gets hot. So oftentimes you'll find carrots around the base of our tomato plants or something like that that is going to be producing a lot of shade come June and July when the carrots could really use it. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, so and also even though it says 4 to 6 weeks before last spring frost, I mean that's when you can start planting them, but really like it was yesterday I was out there planting some. Now that is a little on the late side, obviously, for zone 7, but like Dale said, you can try to extend their lives by giving them a little bit of afternoon shade, especially by, things like larger things that might be trellising around it. Whenever we plant it, we were strategic about where we put it. We put it underneath a trellis, and we're going to put a tomato right there as well. So it should be, yeah, it should be really good.
so another question about carrots, when do you need to thin them? As soon as you can,
Hmm.
really. The sooner the better. It's not
And
gonna if it's like a week or two of them growing next to each other, you're gonna be fine. But the longer they go, the more issues you're gonna have. So I would just plan to thin them as soon as you can.
I feel this by Desiree. She said,
Oops.
I'll be thinning carrots for years because my son helped me sprinkle them this year.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel that. That is how it is here. If I let the kids do carrots, that's why, like, honestly, I'm like, ooh, seed tape. Here we go, guys. Let's go lay it out. They have fun with that too. So makes it easy and saves you a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Seed tape only for the kids with carrots from now on.
Hmm. Yep. Yay, Donna's using the rainbow carrots. That's the one that I just planted out yesterday too. I'm excited. That's my favorite variety of seed tape. I love it.
Okay.
And I know I just put carrots there too, but really like this that did apply for a lot of root crops. I don't like we don't have time to go through every single root crop, but like you can plant out still things like beets, radish, turnips, all of those things too. So
Yeah, and
I
they're
want to
growing
make
very.
sure.
I will also say carrots are something you should never try and transplant or any of those root crops. You just direct seed them. They don't do well with transplanting. On
Yeah.
the other hand, lettuce can be transplanted. So, lettuce we grow a couple different ways. The first way is the most fun way and the easiest way is just take a packet of lettuce seeds and sprinkle it everywhere like chia seeds, like you're making a chia pet, and just let them grow. That's a good analogy, right? If people
I don't
know
know
what
if it's
chia
quite
pets are, this
that.
is dating me. This is a dated analogy. I know this is not a 2026 reference. I don't know. Just sprinkle them really dense. You know what I'm talking about. So, and then we basically just let it grow, like all the lettuce grows in together. And we know that like the lettuce is not meant to be grown that densely, but we know that we only have a couple months before it's too hot for lettuce. So we're trying to maximize how much lettuce we can get during that time and with the space we have. And it's just a really easy way to grow. So you could literally take a packet of lettuce seeds, sprinkle it on the ground, and then you can start harvesting from it within about a month or so, depending on what level you want it to be. And then you can generally get 2 or 3 cuttings from each lettuce plant before it gets too hot. So that's one of the ways that we're growing lettuce, and that's typically outside in a raised bed, like in a 4x4 bed. We'll just have the entire thing dedicated to lettuce, and it's just like a salad bar is the way we view it. We just go out there and cut what we want, and
Yeah.
it goes back in a week, and it's awesome. We also grow lettuce more independently, if you will, like one lettuce plant at a time in our green stock towers. Do you have a picture of those you can pop up, please?
That's what I was just trying
Cool.
to see. I think I do. Yep, right there.
So this we have in our sunroom, and this is why I was talking earlier about not feeling as much pressure to grow in the summer because we've been growing all winter in these, and it's been awesome. And this is where we're starting one lettuce seed inside of a biodome until it gets a week or two old. and then we're transplanting it out into just like one of these, and this has been awesome. So this is another way that we grow lettuce too. Both ways work. It kind of just depends on the space you have and what you're wanting to do, and whether or not you can control the temperature. And I'm not sure what we're going to do on lettuce in the summer because it's going to get too hot in that sunroom too. So I'm still trying to figure out. We may try growing lettuce just indoors, like right behind Carrie, basically. That's
Yeah.
another grow area. And we have basil growing like right
Mhm.
behind her too. When we
Yep.
get to the basil slide, we'll show that basil and talk all about it. We have a basil slide, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And will say somebody was saying here, what's a good warm weather crop to put in the spot after removing lettuce? And like I do remember last year as we had lettuce bolting, we literally dug a hole right in the middle and we put a tomato right there too.
Yeah.
I mean, you can plant anything in there after lettuce because lettuce is not a super heavy feeder and like it'll anything will do well right after it. But
And
yeah.
like one of the advantages of that, so like we had a bed that was just solid full of lettuce. And like Carrie mentioned, we dug a hole in the middle, but we left all the lettuce around it. So that tomato went in the middle around a bed of essentially lettuce mulch, and that lettuce bolted and went to flower, which lettuce flowers bring in so many pollinators. So then we had pollinators all around the tomatoes. We had no moisture issues with the tomatoes because it had basically, again, a bed of lettuce mulch all around it that helped shade the soil, keep it regulated. I think it helped with pest prevention a little bit too, probably. We didn't have any pest issues on the, and we kind of like, it was a hack that we discovered. Oh, this is the way to go. Just let the bed of lettuce bolt, leave it there so you've got your pollinators in place, and then transplant your tomato out there, and then your tomato has friends. It's not going out there in this empty garden with a bunch of seeds waiting to germinate. Like it's already got some friends it can hang out with, which is important, right?
And of course, I will say too, there are several heat tolerant varieties of lettuce too. So if you haven't
Yeah.
gotten lettuce started, like to try some of the heat varieties, the ones that I actually planted out the other day, we have like Jericho and there's a Summer Glory blend from Park Seed as well. Yeah, so this one right here, this Jericho is a really good one. And then also, yeah, the Summer Glory blend is a really good one. And even the ones of Sandy and Red Sails, those two are both supposed to be pretty heat tolerant as well, too. Which I know if you guys have been on a live stream with me before and you've heard me talk about lettuce, I have always mentioned the Sandy lettuce because it is my personal favorite. For good reason. It tastes amazing and it always performs great. So those are just a couple varieties that just do better in the heat. So if you are in a warmer area and you're going to try to grow lettuce a little bit further into the summer, try those ones out.
I don't know how to stop sharing.
I gotcha.
Thank you.
See, I always got your back.
All right, so
Okay.
tomato.
Yep. So let's shift gears to some of the warm season ones. So a lot of these are like after your last spring frost, which for some of you it might already be, which is exciting. Um, and a really easy way to tell. So right here in the app, the Seed to Spoon app, there's a countdown until your last estimated frost. So that's a really good way to know if you like where you are at in the season too. So check that out and see where you are. But yes, tomatoes. This is, I mean, we have a bunch of tomatoes over here started in one of our biodomes right here. I can't even. There we go. These right here, this 18 cell biodome is filled with a bunch of tomatoes, which is very exciting. So these ones need to be started hardened off. You can start that process. I know somebody was asking about that earlier, but you can go through the process of hardening off. I mean, I'm going to start it now, even though like we technically have about a week left until the estimated last frost, although we probably already had it, but just to be safe as well too, because they've been babied in here, and I want to kind of ease them into the temperatures outside and not throw them out into it. And so over the course of like a week or two, I just gradually introduce them out to their environment that they're going to be in. And I start that process whenever they have at least two true leaves. So the true leaves are the leaves that come after the seed leaves. So the leaves that look like your plants, like what it's going to look like. So at that point, you can start going through the process of hardening them off. They're ready to transplant whenever your environment's ready.
Carrie, you want to talk a little bit about fertilizing tomato seedlings? I'm wondering if the issue Shelly's having is with fertilization.
Also, possibly damping off. So,
Yeah.
because Shelly's saying, I can't seem to get my tomatoes to grow. They sprout, they get about 2 inches and then nothing. So could be a couple issues. So damping off is it sounds like that to me. So whenever they just stop growing out of nowhere, it's typically like an overwatering issue. Like they're just sitting in moisture too much, so they're getting like a fungus on the top that makes them stop. But also, like Dale said, if they just are slowing down, maybe for you, you could try fertilizing. I actually do have right up here my Parks fertilizer here. And it's super easy to use. I have a little scoop in here, and I just put a scoop into water and water the tomatoes at the bottom. It's very easy to do. I do it again. So we were talking a little bit about when you can harden off when they have those the two true leaves. That's when you can start to fertilize. So probably at the stage that you're at right there, you can start to go through and fertilize. And pretty much every time I go through and water, I will do this once they hit that stage.
So, and we did an entire live stream on tomato varieties a few weeks ago. It wasn't that long that we did that. So if you want to know more about like what varieties we're growing and why, go check that out. I'll give you just kind of the high level summary. If you're new to tomatoes, I highly recommend starting with the cherry variety, the Parks Junior Whopper. Let me pull it up. Is a great one to start with. It tastes incredible, first of all, and very easy to grow. So the pink one here.
The pink one's my personal favorite. It's so good.
Yeah, this was awesome to grow. So I highly recommend starting with a smaller tomato like this, because the smaller the tomato, the less likely it is that you're going to have issues, and the more success you're going to have, and just the more tomatoes you're going to get. If you're looking for a larger tomato, the Parks Whopper is kind of the tried and true. So this one right here is kind of one of the things that make Park Seed famous, was this tomato, and it's a very well known, tried and true tomato that I highly recommend. Carrie did a whole kind of video on it called Behind the Seeds. You should check out on the Whopper tomato. But yeah, but go check out our live stream all about varieties. I'm not going to go too much detail on that. This is where we're going to start getting into more pest issues too, as we get into some of these summer crops and as we start to get some of the warmer temperatures. So it's a good time to call out the in the Seed to Spoon app. There's a couple features we have that will help you with this. So the first one is GrowBots, because the first thing you got to do is figure out what pests are you dealing with, and that's where GrowBot comes in. So the Identify Plant button there on the dashboard takes you into GrowBot, and then
the camera.
See what it says. See what kind of bug you are.
Oh man. Well, I did identify plant.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'll identify bug.
Well, just there you go.
There you go. There you go.
That's not a bug at all.
Let's see what GrowBot says. They're like, you're silly.
Yeah.
Oh, can't identify people. Ooh.
Got to hold up a picture of a cricket when we test it, I guess. So, so this is one way that we've built our app to help you. Is if it was a picture of a bug, it would have told you what it is. I promise.
Yeah.
The second is we've done a bunch of manual work as well. So when we first built the app, there was no GrowBot, and we listed out all of the most common pests you're going to encounter in the garden. So here in this view here, including cats and things like that, like how we deal with all the things we've encountered throughout our garden. And if you tap on one of these, then it has information about what to do. There's a spray that'll work with it. Everything we have in here is organic. There's not going to be any chemical sprays or anything like that that we recommend. So when it comes to tomatoes, so go to tomatoes in the app too, because we've got another feature that shows you the specific plants or the specific pests that attack a plant. So if we go into tomatoes, then you'll see one of the tabs we have here is the pest tab. And you can see these are going to be the most common pests for tomatoes. And the one I want to hone in on is the tomato hornworm. So this one is going to be the largest caterpillar you've ever seen, and it's going to be the most ninja caterpillar you've ever seen, because it's really hard to see. Then once you see it, you're like, oh wow, that's huge. They will decimate a tomato plant pretty much overnight. So that's really the biggest issue with pests with tomatoes. There's a lot of issues with disease with tomatoes, and that's where some of the garden hygiene stuff really comes into play. So make sure if you're dealing with a tomato plant that looks diseased or infected, you're washing your tools and your hands in between touching a different tomato plant. Or really, like, I'm kind of getting rid of it. Like if we have disease on a tomato plant, I'm getting rid of it pretty quick so I don't have it spread to other plants. And we have a lot of tomatoes, so I'm pretty ruthless on getting rid of stuff if we start having disease issues. And that's one of the reasons why we go with varieties like the Parks Whopper, which are disease resistant as well. Another kind of thing with tomatoes, a lot of the reasons why they have issues with disease is when they get stressed. And a big reason why they get stressed is because of too much sun. So people think that tomatoes need full sun, and in Michigan, yes, they do. In Oklahoma, they do not. Full sun is too hot and it burns the plant and it causes issues. So we actually think about shade as being a good thing for our tomatoes, but calculate when it gets shade. So the best spot for tomatoes for us is an area that gets sun starting in the morning and then is shaded from like 2 or 3 on. That's perfect for tomatoes. Anything we have that gets more than that, we're having to take precautions or help those tomatoes out, or just, do things to help them, especially on the really hot days. So those are the big things to mention about tomatoes. I saw Harry mention blossom end rot as a problem as well, which is another common problem with tomatoes that can happen with overwatering or with just having too much rain. Can also happen with a lack of calcium, but the most common reason it happens is with either overwatering or too much rain. Another reason why the cherry tomatoes are your friends, because they're not really usually affected by it near as much. And if it is, it's only going to be a couple of them. They make so many cherry tomatoes, you're not going to notice. But if you've got a big beefsteak tomato that has 10 tomatoes on it and 8 of them get ruined from blossom end rot, that sucks. So that's one of the reasons why I recommend going with smaller one too. So
just easier all around.
tomatoes really like consistent watering. So
Yeah.
that can mean a number of different things. For us, it means we are letting our plants dry out a bit before we're watering them, more than you would think, because we're trying to encourage the roots to stretch out and find more water. And if you're going to water your tomatoes every single day, then you better not ever skip a week. You better not go on vacation, because the tomatoes are going to suffer. But if your tomatoes are used to getting water on a cadence of, for us, it might be, depending on, like, don't quote me on the time frame, because it all depends on temperature and humidity and all sorts of things. But I'm not measuring any of that. I'm going out to my garden. I'm looking at it. I'm sticking my finger in the soil. And if it's dry down 3 inches, then I'm watering the entire garden bed until it's very watered, like watering it to where it's fully soaked. And then I don't water that garden bed again until I go out and it's dry again in the same way, where it's dry 3 inches down. So that's generally how we handle watering. And also with tomatoes, watering at the base of the plant is really something you want to try and do. Um, Tomatoes do not like their leaves being wet all the time, and that's one of the big ways that diseases can spread around a plant and through your garden is through water droplets moving it from one side of the plant to the other, or from one plant to another. So, um, got to see a question from Tanya on leggy plants. So it depends on what it is. If it's tomatoes, leggy plants are fine because it's going to make roots all along that. If it's a pepper plant or something, then that might be a different story. It just depends. A lot of times we're able to salvage them by using a fan to help them, like for one, getting them closer to the light, and then using a fan to help them like get stronger. It just depends on what it is. But since we're talking about tomato, on that one, we never really start over on that unless it's a disease issue or something. So I talked a lot about tomatoes. Let's move on to basil because that goes
Yes,
along
because it's the
with
perfect
tomatoes.
companion to tomatoes, so
Yeah.
they're perfect, best friends.
So before we start talking about future basil, let's talk about current basil. Can you show the basil behind you? Because I think this basil is so
Yes.
cool, and I want everyone to know about it. So yeah, can you grab it and pull it up
Yeah.
here? So I saw this for the first time a couple years ago at the Cultivate Plant Conference, and this
Oh,
is a basil that's called bonsai basil. That again, this is my second chia pet reference of the live stream. So I'm dating myself, but this is basically a chia pet of basil that is amazing. I love this basil plant so much. I use it all the time, and you could hardly tell because what
yeah.
I do is I
I
just
see
come
a
up
couple
and
that are a little shorter. I see where you've been harvesting, but yeah,
yeah,
you
I mean,
can't
I'm
really
not the best
tell at
hair
all.
cutter, you know. I need to give it like more of a uniform haircut, but we've been going through and harvesting from that. I use it for like if I've got a leftover piece of pizza, you better believe I'm cutting up a little bit of that and throwing it on
Yeah.
there, or a little dish of pasta or whatever. I'm throwing it on
I think I'm
everything.
just gonna
So
hold this the rest of the live stream. It smells so good. Oh my
is
god.
that just your friend? Just
Yeah, I'm just like I just keep putting my face in it because it's oh my god. Okay, I'll put it down before I get too distracted. It is so nice.
let me show that one before we get to. So this kitchen mini series, we've talked a lot about these, but if you're not familiar, so these are meant to grow indoors. And this bonsai basil here is the kitchen mini basil I was showing. So check that out. So that's indoor basil. Let's talk about outdoor basil because outdoor basil is just as easy. It's just as simple as throwing some seeds around, and you're going to have basil, and you're probably going to have basil as a weed for the rest of the time that you live there. Because that's how it's been for us, where we
It's a
let
good
our
point.
basil go to seed, the seeds go everywhere, and then we've got weeds of basil next year, and it's awesome. And we don't really consider it a
We
weed.
did have like an entire garden bed of basil. It was amazing, and we're like, okay, that's a perfect place to go transplant a tomato now.
Yeah. Yeah. The bed came up as weeds. We had a whole bed of like a raised bed, just came up as basil weeds. We're like, all
Yeah.
right, well, that'll work. So, um, I
Because I
highly
do
encourage.
let them go to flower at the end of the season, especially because like the bees just love them so much.
Yeah, and I highly encourage you to check out the different varieties of basil, so you can see just like all the varieties we carry here. This is one of the things that really helped make gardening sustainable for us from a culinary perspective. And what I mean by that is when we first started growing food, we were so excited to eat squash out of the garden. And within probably a month, you get tired of eating the exact same squash like every day and it tasting the same. At least I did. And that is when the herbs really came into play because we were able to take a dish of chicken and squash and rice or something and then switch out which variety of basil or oregano or whatever we paired with it. And it made it taste completely different from one night to the next. And that was one of the ways that we really made garden sustainable. And then I really like the different flavors of basil now. And I don't look at it as like they're almost like different plants to me. Like sweet basil and Thai basil are completely different things in my mind. It's not just
Mhm.
basil. It's like, oh, that's Thai basil, that's sweet basil. So I would encourage you to think about basil not just as basil, but as the individual kind of varieties within it and the different flavors and the different uses as well. Some of these basil varieties are really nice for using on a sandwich, for example, like the lettuce leaf or the large leaf basils are great for a sandwich leaf. Here, I'll show this one again, this lettuce leaf one here, because it's a really big basil leaf
I
and the
like this.
flavor isn't as concentrated in the leaf as it is with some of the smaller ones. It's more of a mild flavor and it's not as overpowering. So for like a chicken sandwich or something, it's perfect. Um,
You'll be
whereas
excited. I started a lot of these by seed for you,
good,
so you'll be
yeah,
excited.
I'm getting hungry. I do this every week now. So, um, and then so some of the other basils are better for pesto. If you've never made pesto before, it's very easy. Highly recommend checking that out. Um, I see we have 10 slides to go in 15 minutes, so we better start going through. But check out some of our guides we've had on how to make basil.
And then while we are talking about tomato companions, marigolds are, of course, their best friend. Also, they have two besties, basil and marigold. So pretty much every time I go and I transplant a tomato out, I'm putting at least one marigold and one basil with it, because they're just, yeah, they all help. And the marigolds are the perfect companion plant. It brings in so many pollinators and ladybugs and just everything into your garden. So if you grow no other flowers, grow marigolds though. Like, it will be the best flower. Okay. And then peppers. So peppers are very similar with tomatoes when we're talking about make sure it's after your last frost, but they are a little bit more finicky with the temperatures. So they do want to make sure that your temperatures are like in the nighttime that they're staying above at least like 45 to 50. And not going below that at all because they can get stunted and because the cold does not do good for them. So you do have to be pretty careful with your peppers and transplanting them out. So make sure they are good and hardened off before you get them out there and that you don't have any really low temperatures left or you give them some protection. So do you have anything to say about peppers?
Thought about it, but I'll talk for an hour again. So I'm gonna
You can talk about peppers. I know you love peppers. Peppers are
I
probably one of
do
your favorite things.
I do love peppers. The one thing I'll say is if you don't like hot things, don't be shied away from peppers because there's plenty of varieties that are not spicy, and there's a ton of health benefits that come from peppers. The health benefits is usually from the seeds, and usually like the spicier the better, I think too. Um, but don't be afraid of peppers if you're afraid of spice because there's a lot of mild varieties. The banana peppers are really good and don't have that heat at all.
Yeah, even if you don't like bell pepper, I mean, there we have like sweet peppers too, and like that are quite literally like sweet. Like they're so good. Like even the kids
And
will like them.
And also, I feel like I waited way too long in life to appreciate and enjoy pickled peppers because I had only ever had ones that were like from the store or from a can or something, and I didn't like that. And then once I had some legit pickled peppers that were like homemade versions, those are really good, and now I'm obsessed with it. And I have, as you know, I have it on pretty much everything I eat. So
Well, and
don't sleep on
pickled
pickled.
peppers are so easy to make too. I mean, I can't believe it took us that long, even after gardening, to make our own pickled peppers. But very easy to do. And luckily with peppers, like you can plant one plant and you can get like, I mean, it depends on the variety a lot of times, but you can get like 20 to 50 to hundreds of peppers from one plant sometimes.
Yeah, it's one of those plants where you get a lot of bang for your buck. So for one
Hmm.
seed, you can end up with a lot of peppers from it. It's usually like the thing at the end of the season before the last frost. We're spending a lot of time going through and trying to preserve as many as we can because we've just got plants loaded up with peppers out there. So summer squash is one that, at least for us and for a lot of other people I talk to, your first couple years gardening, you're like, why isn't everyone a squash farmer? This is so easy because you get just tons of zucchini from it, and you think, man, this is the life. And then the squash bugs hear about what you're doing, and they find you, and then it becomes a war. And not just the squash bugs, but the squash vine borers and the cucumber beetles, and everyone else likes squash too. And they've heard how easy it is to grow too, so they all show up, and then it becomes a war. And then for us, it's all about not planting all of our squash in the same place. So moving it, like having different locations all around the garden, so that if squash bugs do find one, they're not going to find all of them. There's this concept of a trap squash plant where you can plant a squash plant like early in the season, and then that's going to attract all the squash bugs that overwintered. And then you take that squash plant and like chop it at the base and throw it into a fire pit and get rid of the squash bugs. And then that kind of resets the squash bug problem a bit, but they usually end up finding you again. We've never had a year since we started growing, that we haven't dealt with squash bugs at some point. They're difficult to manage. They will be your like number one garden nemesis, and you will hate them. But it's part of being a gardener. I will say too that there are varieties of squash that are more resistant to squash bugs. I don't have them off like the top of my head, but um, I encourage you not just to go with like the standard zucchini, like the Dark Star hybrid or whatever, like the most popular one. I would go with, just look around and look at some other varieties out there that we have, and try some other ones, because I've seen that a lot of times those varieties have had way less issues with squash bugs than the standard zucchini that we've tried to grow. Another tip on zucchini is we try and grow it vertically. So typically it's going to try and lay out over the ground, and these big leaves make awesome place for squash bugs to hide. Well, if you grow it vertically, grow it next to a T-post and attach to the T-post as it's growing up, then it's harder for the squash bugs to find cover, and it's easier for the predators to find the squash bugs. So we've had a lot of success doing that too. Harry calls out limelight zucchini, so check out that one.
And then beans. So this is another one. I know Dale mentioned that the peppers were just like definitely like you get one and it's just amazing. You get a whole bunch to harvest. Beans are exactly the same. You can plant one plant and get hundreds of beans. It's amazing. There's bush beans and pole beans. So depending on your location and your space, you can have beans everywhere. And they are probably one of the easiest things to do. Like they're very easy and they also help your soil too. So they pull nitrogen from the air, bring it down into the soil, and so they're fertilizing at the same time that they're giving you food. So they're an amazing plant. Everybody needs to be growing some beans.
Check out the yard long beans. They're my favorite variety to grow. So they're foot long beans. They have a very unique flavor. Um, they remind me of the beans you get in fancy restaurants. I don't know. That's the best description I have for them. But they taste really good. I like sautéing them with olive oil and onions, and um, yeah, I prefer that flavor over some of the larger beans. I like them.
Yeah, so I just planted out some bush beans and I did like the purple queen. They're really excited for all these colors. I did the purple queen, I did the Mardi Gras one, which has a bunch of different colors too. And then, of course, the Park Swapper bush bean, because that one just always gives us a whole bunch of standard beans. So we needed that one too. So those are probably my three favorite bush beans. But yes, besides that, the one that you mentioned, the Orient Wonder yard long, is amazing.
And bush beans are one of those plants where I encourage you to think about it as being a succession planting plant. So we're not just going to plant bush beans once and then be done with it. We're going to plant bush beans. Well, we did some yesterday. And then in a week, we're going to plant another round of bush beans somewhere else. And a week after that, we'll plant another round of bush beans. And we'll keep doing that all throughout the summer. And
Mhm.
then eventually we'll transition over into peas again once we hit the fall. Um, But we always have a round of those going. That way, we have a new round coming up for harvest every week too, and we can stagger the harvest and have them all throughout the summer. We'll do that with beans and carrots, kind of. Although carrots don't like the heat, beans are the one we really do that the most with. It's the thing that
Yeah.
we are the most diligent
I
about.
do that with my squash also because I'm always concerned
Yeah.
about the issue, the squash
Mhm.
vine borer or taking them out or something like that. So like every like week or two, I'm typically starting a new plant just in case, just like backups and all that.
Yes, Robin, we do. And this is one of those funny things that, like, before I was a gardener, I feel silly to say this now. I did not realize dried beans were the inside of green beans. I should have, but I did not know that in life.
I
And
mean,
that was a mind
it's
blowing
not
thing. I was
something you
like,
think of. I didn't think of it either.
I know,
So
I was like, you're telling me black beans are just old green beans? Like, I had no idea. Um, So yes, we do that where basically I wouldn't say we're planting the beans with the intent of harvesting dry beans. What we're doing is we're harvesting them green until for whatever reason we stop harvesting and then usually we end up with way too many like
I
leftover
was just gonna
vines.
say, usually it's just an overabundance of them, and
Hmm.
because we get excited and plant so much, and then we can't keep up, and then we're like, "Oh, we have all these beans." So, yeah.
And then at the end of the season, like right before our last frost, we're going out there at the same time we're picking all of the peppers. We're also getting a ton of cherry tomatoes and beans at the same time, and then bringing the beans inside and then going through and then getting the dried beans out of those. And that's been really cool. And like,
I
I
just put
think,
them in, like, a little mason jar, and then I have beans that I can pop in, like, the Instant Pot to make beans.
and they go a long way. Like you're gonna think like, oh, like you only get like 4 or 5 beans off of, but like, especially when you have like the whole family working on going through and like you end up with a lot in a hurry. So it's really cool. Highly recommend that.
Zinnias, of course, another one of our favorites. So just like marigolds, if you weren't planting zinnias, this is another flower that everybody needs to grow because so many pollinators will come and visit your garden if you plant zinnias. Plus, they are just hands down one of the easiest flowers to grow. I mean, quite literally, we just go out there and sprinkle seeds for zinnias and they will just grow and thrive and do amazing. And yeah, it's incredible. Like they're, yeah, definitely the
They are,
easiest and gorgeous.
yeah, and it's gonna make you feel like a good gardener because in the summer it can be tough and it's hard to keep some stuff alive. Zinnias are gonna thrive in the summer, and it's also a very easy way to make your wife happy. That literally I can just like throw these seeds on the ground and then cut them when they make a flower and then hand it to her. And then she's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "That's all I had to do." And yep, that's literally all you have to do. So it's a good
Yeah,
husband hack.
and it is one of those. Oh yeah, Alyssa was asking, do you chop the tops of zinnia like with basil to get more blooms? So yeah, so every time that you do cut the zinnia plant, you get more. Like it's called a cut and come again. Like it will continue to thrive and it will continue to like fork and give you more, even more blooms. So yes, the more you cut, the more you get. So
Yeah, we were getting like in the height of the summer, we were getting I don't know how many bouquets. We had like 20 vases around the house, just like filled with zinnias. And every week I would go out there and cut. Like I would spend an hour just cutting
yeah.
zinnias, getting them all ready and like trimming them off. My kids, my toddler, she was like 2 at the time probably, would be out there helping me and she loved it. And yeah, we get all of our vases together on Monday and we have a whole like and throughout the week we'd have vases all around the house full with zinnias and then by the next week we go out there and it looked like we didn't cut any and we had a whole round of new zinnias to go again. So yeah, love zinnias.
Yes. Yeah, so Robin was asking, do you sprinkle zinnias among your other plants or separate in pots and beds? So yes, I mean yes we do both. So there's no wrong way to plant a zinnia. Well, I say that, but you do have to
Hmm.
be careful with some zinnia varieties because there are zinnia varieties, especially like the Parks Picks, that grow so tall, which is amazing. I love them, but you do need to be careful you don't shade out other plants, like if you're planting in the middle of the garden. So just be aware of the sizes of them. So, okay. Well, we
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 made
are
it.
at 1 o'clock.
All right. We did it. All right.
Whew.
So let's announce our winner.
I do not. Give me a minute.
Okay. All right. I'll talk
There's
for a second.
still questions. Yes.
Yep. So I'm going to go back to Robin's question on sprinkling zinnia seeds. So, something that we started doing this year actually is we're going to put a row of pollinators in between every vegetable that we grow, basically. So, like we planted beans yesterday, and then we put a strip of zinnias in between that, and we'll have another vegetable on the other side. So, last year we had a lot of kind of zinnias like in one bed or in one area, which was nice, but we just want to sprinkle more of them around the garden instead of having like a dedicated space. And for that, we are using more of the dwarf varieties because the Parks Picks varieties are awesome and they get really big, but I'm worried about them crowding out other stuff. So we're going to keep the Parks Picks kind of by themselves in a big area, and then some of these like Magellan varieties and some of the smaller ones that we really like, but kind of got overshadowed by the larger zinnias when we put them next to them last year. We're going to mix them around. So
Okay, I have a winner. So we're doing the giveaway for a free 1 year premium Seed to Spoon app subscription, along with a packet of Park Seed seeds that you can plant this April. It's exciting. So don't forget to, if you're watching this after the fact, you can still comment. And those of you in here, if you don't win, you can still comment after the fact and be entered in to win the giveaway for afterwards that we'll draw at the beginning of next week. So congratulations to Alyssa Corbin. So email us at info@seedtospoon.net. We'll get y'all hooked up with your goodies.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Check out our Instagram if you don't follow us there already. We have been out in the garden a lot the past week and recorded a bunch of stuff. I made some gardening videos again. It's been a while since I've been out there in the garden making videos, so that felt good to get out there and show you guys what we've been working on. It's been really exciting. So check out our and I think you post them as YouTube shorts. You post them everywhere, right? Like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So wherever you want to be on social, check it out. But we're doing a lot of work in our garden right now. We're going to be hopefully sharing some things that you'll find interesting. We're doing a lot of vertical growing, which we've always done, but we're building this stuff from scratch again. So if you want to follow along and see how we use cattle panels to grow vertically and maximize how much space we're growing in, check out some of our recent shorts that are coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we are here every Tuesday, same time, same place, chatting all sorts of things. I thought it was funny. Yes, we actually do. Dale is a good guitar player. He just learned. He taught himself what, 3 years now?
Well, you're not telling the full story. So Carrie is an amazing singer, and we would go to karaoke nights when we first got together, and it was so cool because she would get up there and start singing, and like everyone's kind of started to like talking at the bar, and then everyone's like, "Whoa, who's that?" And I'm like, "That's my wife," and they're like, so like that was like our life for 10 years. And it was always a dream to learn how to play guitar because I was like, how cool would it be? And so 4 years ago, almost, like I told y'all earlier, I'm autistic. I get obsessed, and it's been guitar for about 4 years now. And it's so much fun. Carrie and I start doing open mics first, and now we've got like a set every month at a brewery here in Oklahoma City. So it's fun. Yeah, check it out. But it's our outlet that does not involve a computer or a garden. So something we can do together that we can enjoy that isn't that. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will see y'all next week. Hopefully. Same time, same place.
Bye, everyone.